Hey, folks, it's right. I'm back. Yeah, hadn't seen me in a while. I think the last time we had a chance to chat was in April after the Texans draft recap. Right, this your man Adolphus AD Moore. I'm playing with a new toy. Got a new. We on a new platform this year. And I'm working my way. I'm working my way back to just working my way on the new stuff. I'm enjoying it. It's a challenge, but guess what? Old dog can learn new tricks, and that's the one thing I like about it. I like what I'm having to deal with so far. But anyway, let's get down to the brass tacks, and I'm not gonna hold you long. As I mentioned, this is the Texans. They make the 2025 NFL season is off and running. It started last night. I remember I got a chance to see the Cleveland Browns against the Carolina Panthers, but that's not what you come in for. You came in to talk about the Texans today. The Texans were hosted by the Minnesota Vikings today after they had spent a week up in West Virginia at Greenbrier Sports Performance Center. They spent a week up there. Everybody seemed to be well pleased with the atmosphere, the weather, and everything. And today they took on the Minnesota Vikings for their first preseason games. Vikings won the contest 20-10. Who cares? Score is really irrelevant at this point. The bottom line, as far as the Texans, and this was a topic that was discussed on Folks Talking Sports last Sunday, hosted by KG Chris Gardner. And, my colleague Kim Davis and I was trying to speculate who all may or may not play, and I think we will agree that the starters may or may not. They'd be lucky if they can get one or two series. Guess what? They weren't gonna get any series because the C.J. Strouds and the others, the starting defensive line, and most of and I'd say about 2/3 of the. I'd say about 2/3, 3/3, 3/5 of the offensive line didn't start. They were all everybody was in civvies over there, but anyway, I think what impressed me more than anything. Let me just say this real quick. British Brooks they got to find a spot on that team for British Brooks. And the young man showed flashes last year. He got hurt, and then he went on IR, and he's back again this year. And a couple of plays that just stood out to me on the kickoff coverage. He blew up a guy this afternoon, and and I say that in respectfully, just excuse the terminology, but then a little bit of the football in me is coming out. He made a heck of a tackle on a kickoff coverage, and he's shown himself to be a kid that's no. They're gonna have to find a spot somewhere on this roster for this young man. I think I think that was a good deal. I was impressed with the Texans' first drive tonight. No, Davis Mills. I was impressed more with the O line, and this wasn't a starting offensive line. The Vikings had some of their starters in there, but for the most part, you had a first year tackle on one end in Ariante Ursay. You had a second year tackle on the other end in Blake Fisher, and in between there, I made note Juice Scruggs, Jake Andrews, and the like. Those were the guys that basically just and they kept a clean pocket, but they ran the ball and they ran it with some authority today. And that's something that is long overdue, and I think this is starting to setting a pattern for the Houston Texans. The offensive line is going to have an identity, much like the defensive line that the Texans that's already has established an identity. And if they continue in the same vein, yeah, I know it's preseason. Yes, I know it's the first game. Yes, I know a lot of things. But if they continue in this mode, and particularly controlling the line of scrimmage, that means guys are not going to be able to start 10 off on C.J. Stroud, and the fact because they're going to have to pay attention. They are really going to have to pay attention to the Texans running game. Now, who are the running backs? We got Joe Mixon's still not in camp. Damian Pierce, I got a chance saw him. I saw glimpses of him on the sidelines this afternoon. He's back in camp. Hopefully, he can work himself back into shape. But I think the load is really going to fall on Nick Chubb, and I also Woody Marks, and I think also the Jahan Jordan, the just some kids. I think right now that as the season progresses and when they get back on the plane and when they get back here next week, they're gonna have a combined practice against the Carolina Panthers. And they'll have a practice with them on Thursday, a combined practice on Thursday. And so we're going to see how the continuing progress as far as the offensive line is concerned. Progress has been made. It's a slow, methodical evolution. That's what's going to take place with the offensive line. Nick Haley, first time calling plays. Period. And so, yeah, again, you're probably I'm gonna probably sound repetitive with this, but uh, you know, due to the fact that it showed some glimpses. And I don't think it showed a whole lot, but it showed one thing: Texas is going to run the football, and they're going to run the football with some authority. They're going to run the football with some nastiness about them, and that's one thing that I think a lot of folks are waiting to see is will can they run the football with some abandonment. Um, Brandon F. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, Mills look good. I'll put it like this. Some folks might want to think, well, the Mills look good enough for trade bait. No, I think you need to keep Mills around. You know, something happened to C.J. Stroud, I would have all the confidence in the world that for a period of time that for a period of time we would be able to Davis Mills can put him back there. Now everybody in this situation with with uh, Haley being the first time play caller. Really, this is everybody's new bite at the apple as far as what type of what is the inertia, what is the flavor of the month, what are the Texans going to be like? Well, that's a work in progress. That is a work in progress. And so in that sense, again, as I stated, it's a work in progress, and so we'll see whatever the case might be. So you know, Brandon F, yeah, appreciate. Yeah, Mills looks solid, and make no mistake about it, he did look solid on it. I appreciate the comments, Brandon. Thank you for just chiming in. Um, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be here long. Like I said, I just want to jump in and at best, jump in at best is just give some of my not necessarily game balls, but just some of my quick pointers that I had a chance to take a look at. Um, Blake Fisher, I thought, yeah, he had a false start today, but I thought Blake Fisher is starting to come around and starting to resemble the guy that I thought would show up as a second year guy. This is the person have been looking for, and Ariante Ursay, he is still making the progress. Yeah, he is a surprise to me, and I'm glad this is a pleasant surprise. But I have a greater appreciation now that Blake Fisher is now starting to show the player that I thought that I hadn't seen earlier in camp, and what I'm hoping this will be a continuing progress as far as this young man is concerned. Um, Wide receivers, the I think the young man Braxton Berrios, he caught the touchdown pass from Mills today. I think he's gonna make it hard. Whether he makes this Texans team, he's gonna find himself on somebody's ball club, and you can't keep everybody, But I think as far as I think he's putting his resume out on tape. So will I think he make the final roster? I mean, it's when they finally get down to the final roster cut, and that roster cut is going to be Thursday. Yep, I had it right here, folks. Yeah, when they finally get down to the final roster cut, August be Tuesday, August the 26th, when they had to cut down to the final 53. It's gonna some people gonna have their grocery cart and gonna be coming around looking at some of the Houston Texans. As I stated earlier, didn't see none of the starting defense, but I thought the second unit defense that went on the field, I thought they acquitted themselves well. I think as you got to the third and the fourth line, I think they got a little bit manhandled in there as far as the offensive line is concerned. But that's what it's something like what D'Amico Ryan say. He say some guys in practice, he want to see how guys react when the light comes on. And I think for the most part, I think a lot of guys accorded and acquitted themselves quite well as far as the game today. I am very interested in getting to practice on Monday and Tuesday of next week, and particularly Thursday when they had a practice between against the Carolina Panthers, just to get back to seeing them live. As I mentioned earlier, they went up to the Northland, went up to West Virginia, and went to Greenbrier. And my understanding from talking to the colleagues and looking at the weather forecast, they had very pleasant weather up there. In fact, I saw some of my colleagues walking around with jackets on, and I'm sort of going like, really? And we walking around here sweating. But be ye that as it may, the opportunity to for them to, I think the bond, I think moving forward, as long as D'Amico Ryans is the head coach, I think that this is going to be a standard as far as the Houston Texans are concerned. And I'm gonna tell you something, folks. I approve and applaud the decision for them to get away and get out of here and go somewhere else. If you would notice, all the other NFL teams go off to camp somewhere. Their camps, in fact, they spend their entire time and then they come back in when it gets toward the end of the preseason. The Texans, and this year they spent a week out away from Houston, out of the heat, as Miko Ryans has been complaining about, and he justifiably so. It's been hot and muggy, but guess what? This Houston Texans, the fact that they got away and they could go bond as a team, I think that more than anything else, and I think that was shown last year. They got a good start last year after being away, and I think I think they was up in the Cleveland area. I mean, in the Ohio area. I think it was Nick Casario, old stomping ground that they went and held practice for a week. And this year, and they went to the Greenbrier, the Sports Performance Center. And I can say this: I think I can step out on a long ladder on a short pier on this one and say they'll be back there next year. In fact, I would like to see them. I would like to see them stay longer. I mean, that's fine with me. I really don't have a problem. As much as I like to see them in practice, I know the fans do. I know the reason behind it, that the Texans were staying at home and practicing, because when bringing football back here, but been over 20. It's been over 20 years now, folks. So in that case, it's time. And like D'Amico Ryan said, it's time for the Texans to take the next step. And the next step is to get to the AFC Championship, not get knocked off in the second round, as has happened in the past couple of years. It's time for the Texans to get to the AFC Championship game. And can they, if they get there, can they win it? If that's the next hurdle as far as D'Amico is concerned. I mean, the culture, I think, is here. The culture is established. Now let's move it up. Let's go ahead and take the next step. Let's be the ones, whether you're on the road or at home, as far as playing in the AFC Championship. Can you stay at home and defend your turf, or can you go on the road and be a road warrior and go home and take take somebody else's dreams away from them and win an AFC championship on the road? To me, that if you win it on the road, that means I tip my cap to you. When you can do that on the road, no, kudos to you. But anyway, folks, I'm not gonna be. I wasn't planning on being here long. I want to jump on. Like I said, got a new toy. I appreciate from Houston Roundball Media Review. Hey, welcome to the new era for us. Thank you, appreciate it. Appreciate that. And yeah, this is a new era. I'm liking the new features, the new toys. I'm already sitting up here just gravitating in my mind how I want to do certain things next week. So anyway, folks, stay tuned for next week. The game is a noon kickoff against the Carolina Panthers. So I would say 5-ish, 6 o'clock, maybe if not sooner, because it's 12 o'clock, probably 4 o'clock. I'll probably say 4 or 5. You look to see the announcements and me being on the corner after the second preseason game of the Houston Texans. Will be hosting the Carolina Panthers. And then they'll have one more game after that against the Detroit Lions, and again September 7th against the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium. The season kicks off for the Houston Texans. So as we get ready to wrap this puppy, and thanks to those who have showed up, thanks to everybody who chimed in, I appreciate it. Thanks for the welcome back. Yeah, I'm back, and don't forget to follow me on the platforms, IG, Instagram, as you see scrolling on the bottom at AdMax Corner, on also and on Threads as well, on X, AD_more64. Follow me as next week I'll be back at practice with the Texans with daily doses on all platforms, and as well as comments from coaches and players after practice. Look for me on those sites, and as well, be prepared to come back and follow me and look for that on the corner for next Saturday afternoon. I'll be back here with comments from the coaches, with comments from players, regardless win, lose, or draw. We'll be there for the second preseason game. So, as I bid you a fine how to do. Thank you for those that welcome me back. It's good to get back. Football is back. I'm back, and hey, guess what? We're going to continue ourselves to have a good time. So anyway, folks, peace, ciao. I'm out of here, and I'm gone, and thank you for watching. This has been your man, Adolphus A.D. Moore from the AdMax Corner. Ciao.